Welcome back to Weekend Breakfast with me, David Bull. Thank you very much indeed for your company. Now, as you may have heard this morning, the drought has now been declared in 8 out of 14 areas in England. I've been talking about this all week on Drive, saying what on earth have the water companies been doing? We've lost our reservoirs. They haven't built a single new one. There's a desalination plant down the road in Beckton, which isn't working, cost £250 million. And now we're expected to actually save water. And I want to know what you think about that. Do you think the water companies should have done more, given the fact we're an island, we're surrounded by water, and therefore, and we have, by the way, above average rainfall, so we have plenty of rain. It's just about making sure we keep it so we can use it in the summer. Guess what? We lose water in the summer. Let me know your thoughts. The number to call 0344 499 1000. Text the word talk in your message to 87222. You can also tweet us at TalkTV and tweet me at Dr. David Bull. But now it is time for the paper review, and I'm delighted to be joined by Julian Druco. Good morning.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, delighted. And Candice, still with us. Well, thank you for coming in. So what's your first story?
So these horrendous report about Sir Salman Rushdie came through about 3:30 our time yesterday afternoon. Early on, the report, particularly on the Mail online, was saying that he'd got up and he'd been sort of moved away. I mean, often these early reports are incorrect. So there was a sense that it perhaps wasn't as bad as suggested. Clearly, it is. Thankfully, he's still alive at this moment. You think about David Amos. That was also on a Friday, wasn't it? And that was within an hour we knew that he died. Perhaps Sir Salman will pull through these reports this morning. Still horrendous, but I mean, he's still with us. But questions about security at this venue. And the Mail today has got some good eyewitnesses saying, people in the audience, and Usher says actually security was lax at this place, didn't appear to be any additional measures in place. Somebody else who was there yesterday afternoon, because it's 2,500 people in the audience.
So a big audience?
A big audience, and this is thankfully there were people in that audience who had medical knowledge, and that may have saved him. But somebody in the audience as well saying, I can't believe someone could get that close. People thought he was being punched initially. They couldn't see what was going on. But clearly, and then the guy was just, the attacker was just sort of on stage then with him for a while.
It's extraordinary given the background of this man. Obviously, this is because he wrote the Satanic Verses, and then the fatwa was issued in 1989. And obviously, he then spent 10 years, didn't he? I think pretty much locked up from everyone in this country. And it does seem extraordinary to me that you know that clearly the threat hasn't gone away, and you would expect they would have more police presence.
He started doing more public events, didn't he?
He
early 2000s, and I think Iran was interviewed recently, or someone from Iran was interviewed, and obviously the threat never went away, but I think generally people thought that, he was a lot safer in recent years, but clearly, that this has reminded everyone of what a public figure he is, and that edict was still there on his head.
Yeah, so the Iranian government withdrew support for the death sentence back in 1998, which I assume made them think maybe the threat isn't quite as high. What I thought was extraordinary was today the state broadcaster has actually welcomed this.
Really, I haven't seen that. The dangers were still there for him, but obviously he did more and more public events in recent years, and this is just horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Candice, you are a great advocate of free speech. Surely we must be able to say what we think.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when Christopher Hitchens appeared on Question Time defending Salman Rushdie, and that was like a really intellectually clarifying moment for me, just the importance of standing up for free speech. And it actually wasn't that popular. What's interesting is a lot of people didn't always stand up for Salman Rushdie. They kind of blamed him for what happened to him. They said that he brought it on himself, that he'd caused so much offence. And it could be quite difficult to make the argument, no, free speech is worth defending. We should defend him. We should come together with him. And Douglas Murray wrote a great article in the Telegraph saying exactly that.
Do you not think, I'm deeply worried that we're so worried about offending anyone now, we actually don't say anything.
Yes.
That is controversial.
But to me, to even say that it's offence, I'm sorry, but offence doesn't cause you to murder somebody.
No.
I mean, that's not offence, that's pathological control.
It is, and Julian, this what I found really odd about this was the man who is now a suspect is 24.
Yes.
Now, I assumed it would have been someone older because I thought those views were changing. So that if you're 24, you clearly are indoctrinated with those views, aren't you? Of that real hatred.
I suppose this, Salman Rushdie was sort of the number one target. That hadn't gone away. I mean, it's the ultimate in cancel culture, isn't it? If, the worst happens in this story, thankfully, it seems as if he may pull through. But, yeah, just horrendous. And, yeah, someone at 24, so would have been born just at the end of the last century, so probably 10 years after the Satanic Verses came out.
Yeah, extraordinary. Your second story, drought.
The drought, it continues. Obviously, that was declared yesterday by this drought group. Worrying to see panic buying though. I'm just looking in the mirror. In Sussex, and I've seen this in lots of places in West London yesterday, empty shelves of water, bottled water being taken away. You're reminded that with social media, it is so easy to get panic buying. Now, obviously, we
toilet rolls.
Exactly. So, social media fuels this sort of thing. But also warnings as well in the Mirror and elsewhere of flash flooding. So there'll be something else to worry about, possibly as early as.
Do you think they just like scaring us?
Well, this is just the climate now, perhaps, isn't it? The Met Office saying the heat wave will end with thunderstorms. I mean, looking at weather apps, it could be, as early as tomorrow night. We could have heavy rain.
The farmers will be happy.
Absolutely, yeah. So several days of rain. Obviously, I don't remember 1976.
Thank you, I do.
But I mean,
leave now.
You must have been so young. But I mean, obviously that went on for months and months and months. I mean, we've got an end in sight.
But you see, I remember standing at a queue for a standpipe.
Absolutely. It is never, whatever we say about the water companies this time, it has not come to this yet, has it? We haven't got standpipes.
No, but I mean, they are losing 3 billion litres of water a day. I wouldn't say that was exemplary.
No, exactly. But they have benefited from the conditions. I mean, it just isn't as bad as 1976.
Not yet.
No.
No.
But one would hope if we've got these thunderstorms coming in the next few days, that things won't be that bad.
Yeah. Well, one hopes. But I honestly don't know that if that is true. I mean, what I do find extraordinary is we haven't built a single reservoir for 30 years.
Absolutely.
We sold them off. And it just seems to me, and we'll talk about this a little later, that we just don't seem to have any kind of proper infrastructure in this country. Whether it's power, we're in an energy crisis, and then we don't have water. Thank you for the moment. This is TalkTV.